We all have blocks that hold us back. Some are visible, many are hidden in our subconscious. These blocks often cause us to unknowingly self-sabotage and impact so many areas of our life. Today we'll be exploring releasing hidden emotional blocks from stress, anxiety, and past emotional experiences, just to name a few, using advanced voice biofeedback technology. You're listening to the new Ashla Podcast. Hello and welcome to the new Ashla Podcast, Embracing the Shadow Through Self-Mastery. This is a podcast that explores shadow work through the hidden dimensions of the soul, fear, trauma, and the unconscious patterns that shape our lives. Each episode blends spirituality and self-work to help you heal, awaken, and live with truth, integrity, and wholeness. I am Justin Gates. Joining me is my co-host, Michael Perry.
Hey, fam.
And today we're joined by a special guest, Mr. Deepak Chari, co-founder of the Chari Center of Health and the creator of the Life Transformation Technology Program. Good day to you, sir. Hello.
Hello, Justin. Thank you for having me here.
Well, you're so very welcome. When we learned of you, we could not wait to get you on here because I like technology. Technology's cool. If I was Elon Musk, I'd be totally broke because I'd own every piece of technology on earth just to play. Michael's a tech guy too. He likes technology.
Yeah, I can't deny when we first stumbled upon you looking at the work you were doing, it was fascinating to learn of this new approach in the healing industry. Like, I'm excited to dive into this and learn more. And yeah. So
Deepak, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So my background is I'm an engineer and certified biofeedback specialist, specializing in this new kind of area, advanced voice biofeedback technology. I have a bachelor's and master of science degree in engineering. I became an engineer because my father was an engineer. That's the only reason I did that. And though engineers are supposed to be really left-brained, and a lot of my colleagues were, I was very right-brained, thinking outside the box and thinking in innovative ways, always since a young age. So when I started doing this work, I was able to take what I was taught and actually take it to another level, and to get these kinds of results that I'm getting with people, basically for emotional release. Things that are holding people back in their life, anxiety, stress, depression, fears, phobias, emotional traumas, emotional triggers, emotional upsets, self-sabotage patterns, guilt, shame, regret, social phobia, social anxiety, what doesn't matter what it is. I get to the root of it. And I get to the root of it with a person's voice. Because with all the research I've done throughout the years, and I've been doing this work for 20 years, I found your voice is the most accurate reflection of what's going on in your subconscious mind. That is your limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, negative emotions, negative thoughts, all of that. Your voice reflects that. Even if you don't yourself know what you're actually feeling, you might know some of it, Like you talk to someone, they say, "Are you upset about something?" "No, I'm not really upset about anything. I'm just a little pissed off that, my girlfriend broke up with me and I lost my job." And I was like, "Okay, so now you're more pissed off than when you were before?" No, you're always that upset.
Right.
But you were suppressing it. But you see, even if someone talked with a really soft voice, like a lot of my clients are women, majority actually, and some of them talk like this, and "How's everything going?" I asked them. "Oh, everything's a bowl of cherries, Deepak. Everything's smooth sailing, going good." I said, "Well, I know you're coming to see me for some reason, so if everything's good, then are you sure everything's good?" But you see, I've been doing this for 20 years, so though I use computer technology to analyze someone's voice to find out their emotional imprints, since I've been doing it so long, this computer in here, besides the physical computer, picks it up even before the actual computer does, so I get double confirmation. So I'll say to them, "Can you tell me what you're angry about?" "Deepak, I never said I was angry about anything." I said, "But I know there, because I've been doing this for a while, I kind of know something's going on." "Okay, you want to know the truth? My boyfriend broke up with me. That was unfair. That was unjust. He cheated on me with another, another girl, and then this happened, and then I'm like, okay, whoa, But I was able to pick it up.
Here we are.
Here we are. I was able to pick that up in advance, even though the average person, I mean, regular people wouldn't notice it at all. And
Right.
and there's even patterns in people that even they say they don't know they're feeling that I'll pick up. And so when I work on someone, I clear the issues emotional issues they want to address, but even things that they're not even aware of. And the thing is, these all come from our subconscious mind. So for your listeners and viewers, if they're not familiar, we have two minds. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And from my work, I mean, in general, 99% of our mind is subconscious. And some people say 95%. I think it's like 99%. 1% is the conscious mind. And just a general overview of conscious mind is like, okay, what are the things I have to pick up at the store? What are the things I have to do today? What things did I not do today that I have to do tomorrow? Like that kind of stuff. Or what are my
Right.
goals for the future,
Right.
right? That's conscious
It
mind.
lives in the present with us now, right? The other one kind of lives everywhere else.
Yeah, well, the subconscious mind is in past, present, and future. It's in everywhere. It's
Right.
not limited to anything. So in other words, every moment is in every moment. So with the subconscious mind, every thought, every thought, emotion, and expression or feeling in every aspect of our life, in every quadrillionth of a second, is stored in our subconscious, in every fraction of a second. Even if we don't remember what happened like 10 years ago, 15 years ago fully, our subconscious mind remembers every single thing from the time of our birth. And what I found, Justin and Mike, is that there are 4 phases after researching this extensively that we all go through. No exceptions. No one gets out of this.
Okay.
The first phase is when our parents decide to create us. They say, I want to create a child. Okay, I'm being kind of blunt, but this is how it works, okay? The parents say, I want to create this child, Justin or Mike, let's say. And in the process of procreating that child, okay, whatever feelings, thoughts, emotions they had in the moment they're procreating this child, guilt, anger, shame, regret, I'm not where I am in life where I want to be, I'm not really happy in this relationship, I'm not really satisfied in my current job, other people accomplish more than me in this time, I feel regret for what I did in the past, there's a lot of trauma that happened in my past family I never got over. All that stuff, a good percentage of that gets downloaded at that moment, unbeknownst to the person procreating the child. And that's the same for the mom too. But not only that, the unresolved perceptions or belief systems of all the grandparents on both the mom's and dad's side, a certain percentage of that from each of them also gets downloaded into the mix. So you're like this little egg, or that's just forming, that's being formed, and you have nothing on your hard drive. You go to the store, you buy a new computer, there's nothing on the hard drive, right? Clean hard drive. That's you. But then all this other stuff is surrounding the energy field of you, and it's their unresolved emotions and belief systems and regrets or whatever it is. But that becomes a part of your energy field even though you don't know what the heck that is. That's phase 1, okay? Now, phase 2 is you're in your mom's womb for 9 months, and whatever she's thinking, feeling, emoting, regretting, sadness, guilt, shame, frustration in the current relationship, or maybe she wanted to be a jet setter and she said, no, I'm stuck having this kid, and I didn't even want this kid, or whatever she felt. The kid feels that. Maybe the kid feels like, wow, I wasn't really wanted. God, I should have never been born. Mom didn't want me. The kid feels all that stuff, the mom does. The parents think, oh, they won't notice that. The kid won't notice that. Yeah, they do. And if the parents are fighting, the kid picks that up too. So that's phase 2. So that's the second layer that's surrounding your energy field when you're being born. You already had 2. Now what's the third one? The third one is you're born. Hey, I'm born. Well, you're already in phase 3. What happens in phase 3? Now you have the direct interface of the parents and sometimes the grandparents, uncles, aunts, and people like teachers who come in our energy field, like who are guiding us, right? They have a huge influence on us. And what I have found is, after analyzing this thoroughly, is the most imprintable age for us as we're growing up as kids is from the age of 0, from the time we're born, till 7, as far as the imprinting. And of course, we had phase 1 and 2 I talked about before. So 0 to 7, whatever is said by the parents, teachers, uncles, aunts, other people older than us, goes right in the subconscious without any questioning. So for example, if the parent or teacher or whatever told this kid, you you're not what I thought you were going to be. You're not as smart as I thought you were. Why couldn't you have been like that kid across the street? Why couldn't you have been, like smarter, like we were, when we were kids, or, you didn't turn out the way I thought you, as talented as you're going to be. I was hoping you'd be a better, player, athlete, student, whatever. The kid takes it literally from 0 to 7, 0 to 8. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth, I don't deserve anything. I'm not good enough. And if the parent didn't know how to show love, and a lot of parents, in the past didn't know really how to show love because they didn't get it themselves, then the kid doesn't even know what love is. So they think, well, I guess that's love, or I don't deserve love, so I just have to take what I can get. So that's the imprint. Then from age 8 to 12, I found, is the second highest download. You question it a little bit, but pretty much you go, yeah, I guess I'm not really worthy of love or in success or even anything. So therefore, from 0 to 12, whatever happened in those years, that's the rose-tinted glasses of how you see the world from then on. It doesn't matter how many degrees you get, the level of managerial experiences, levels you get, whatever, you're going to see the world from that point of view. And you're going to draw things into your life that match that suppressed or emotionally challenged view of life too. And that explains why, and you get a lot of clients, women and some men as well, but many of the women who say, Deepak, I'm a really nice person. I'm a compassionate, caring person. Why am I getting these narcissistic, manipulative, controlling, condescending men in this case, but it could be either way, in my life over and over again? That's not what I wanted consciously. Remember the 1%? Well, I said, two people are hand wrestling, 1% versus the 99%. And the 99% guy is a really strong guy. The 1% guy is a really skinny guy who hasn't worked out at all. Who do you think is going to win the hand wrestle? That's what happens with the subconscious. You say, I deserve this, I deserve that, I deserve that, right? With your affirmations. Subconscious said, no, you don't. Boom. So that's why. Right. So what basically, they were programmed to think, remember I said, maybe the parent didn't know how to show love, or they told the kid that, you're not worthy of love, or you don't deserve love, or you're a bad kid, or you're a bad, you just came out wrong. So the kid believes that. So they draw people like that. Or maybe the parents were fighting all the time in physically, emotionally, and they got divorced in a very hard way. The kid thinks that's what a relationship is. So they draw those kinds of people in their life over and over again. That's phase 1, 2, and 3 I talked about, right? The one so far. But there's a phase 4. What's phase 4? Phase 4 is when you take what happened in phase 1, 2, and 3, which I just talked about, and you duplicate that in your own life, and you create your own challenging situations that your parents and grandparents even went through, and repeat in your life, and then into your kids' lives, and then your kids do the same thing. And like Groundhog Day, and this repeats over and over again. Right. So this program I have created literally clears those 4 phases. So you're liberated out of the matrix. You're literally flying on a totally different course than all your ancestors did, and creating a whole new future that was probably not going to happen because you would have done the same thing over and over again. So that's why I'm excited about what I'm doing with this work.
It is very fascinating. I mean, lots of systems, both ancient and new, talk about energetic imprinting. I think a lot of us, at least those of us who travel in these similar circles, would agree that this energy is everything. Everything is energy, right? Energy connects everything. It permeates everything. It surrounds everything. It can't be destroyed. It can be transformed, but it can't be destroyed, right? So, as you said, you're stuck with all this bad juju, this bad energy. It's going to follow you around until you learn to transform it.
Exactly. You're right. Energy's there. It's going to keep going. And if you don't do anything, it's going to keep repeating, right? What was that expression? If you do the same thing again, expecting a different result, that's you know what that is. Right. So insanity, right? So, but we're doing it all the time without realizing it unconsciously. We say, why does this happen? They say to me, Deepak, all the time. Why do I keep drawing these unfortunate situations? Why does my car keep breaking down all the time? Why at important meetings? And and I'll say, well, I know it seems like it's your car going bad all the time, or something else, and some unfortunate thing, you miss an important opportunity, but it's created from you. You're projecting this unresolved energy within you, which is ancestral, and also from your childhood too, by the way, from 0 to 13, is projected forward and drawing that same thing into your life. So it's, I know, hard to believe for most people, but they're actually creating it without realizing it.
I know when I started this journey, that was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, or the biggest realizations I had. Maybe not hardest lessons to learn, but one of the biggest aha moments is realizing that I was the common denominator in all of these situations I went through. I thought it was luck. I thought it was just, that's the draw that I got. And it's like, no, I am the one who's bringing these situations over and over. I'm attracted to the same situations. And that unconscious mind is exactly it. It's what draws us to it. And just, we got to change that vibration. We got to change that state in our minds. And I think that's one of the coolest things about your work is being able to help clear those blocks because, I mean, that is what the healing scene is, right? It's trying to work on the unconscious mind.
That's exactly right. And I have my own story to go with that because I created this program because of what I went through myself. See, so it wasn't like everything went so smooth sailing for me. And that's why I created it for myself, but it ended up helping thousands of people all over the US and world in the process of what I went through. So when I was growing up as a kid, I was bullied as a kid. So my parents came from India in the early 60s, and my sister and I were born. And the thing is, people didn't really, I guess, really know where to place us, So we got kind of secluded and, and pushed around. Well, my sister didn't, in a different way for girls, I guess, but I got kind of pushed around a little bit. So what I would do is, I was 7, 8, 9, getting older than that. I used to hide in the library because for safety, till it was safe to come out. Of course, I'd miss school, but I'd have to try to make it up here and there. But while I was in the library, this is the interesting thing. I would grab books from the shelf to occupy the time, like until it was a little safe to sneak out of there. The books I was grabbing, which I didn't realize, were on the law of attraction. So I was grabbing books by W. Clement Stone, Napoleon Hill, As a Man Thinketh, those books, and there's so many other books like that. I didn't know what the heck law of attraction is, but I was just saying, oh, this is kind of interesting. But I didn't realize I was imprinting my subconscious at the time, and that was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then made it more comfortable for me to try to give me some confidence and sort of to face those bullies. But as I got older, I kept thinking, God, I can't wait till I'm an adult because then this crazy bullying stuff will stop. So as I got older into my junior high, from being pushed around in that physical way, it was a little different. It was more like, what group do you fit in? You don't fit in our group. We're the jocks, we're the, this group, and you're kind of in your own group, Deepak. You don't fit with any of us. You don't belong with us. So I was like, oh, here I am again, secluded. So then when I graduated from high school, then I thought, okay, now it's got to be done with. So I went to the dean of engineering because I was going to decide to be an engineer. And I said, I would like to be an engineer. I was thinking you're going to motivate me and get me going. He goes, you know what? I don't know if you have what it takes. I don't know about that. I think you'd be better suited for the building on the other side of campus. I said, well, the only building that I know that's on the other side of campus that you're referring to is the theater department. Is that what you're saying, that you want me to be an actor or something? Well, I think that's probably where you would probably best fit, with a smile on his kind of smirk on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 18, 19, and I was like, I'd had enough of that bullying. I said, in my head, I go, F you, I'm going to show you, I'm going to be the best engineer, and I'm going to show, one of those things, when you're 18, 19, going through that route.
Yep.
So I said, I'm going to prove you wrong, you beep, beep, beep. So I got my bachelor's degree, and I said, I'm going to get a master's degree. There you go. Now, the interesting thing is, throughout this whole scenario, all my professors, virtually in every single class, was a bully. I drew friends in my life that were manipulative, neurotic, controlling, negative, cynical, every negative trait in the book. Friends, classmates. Then I drew relationships in my life that were just like that on the female side. And yes, they can be bullies on that side too. And then I drew, and men can relate to this. And then I drew all kinds of bullying people from every walk in life. You name it. Then I go, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to end after high school. What is this going on? And so that was already going on up to that point. So our father, my sisters and I, our father died at the age of only 51 when we were teenagers because of a heart attack, okay? And so back then, my sister and I said, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And how can we prevent this from happening to anyone else in the future? We said that when we were teenagers. So fast forward, my sister went into medical school so she could actually practice natural medicine, not the conventional medicine, that the pharmaceutical medicine. because she wanted to find a natural reason. Because he took all the pharmaceutical drugs, he did everything the doctor said, it still didn't work. So she did. So she thought people would listen to her if she did that. So she did that. And then my sister and I, in 1999 in San Diego, decided to form a partnership and form the Chari, our last name, Center of Health, which is an integrated functional medical center that goes to the root causes versus the symptoms with a natural approach. So my sister then started seeing all these different clients, primarily women and also men, for finding natural solutions without side effects for whatever issues, health issues they had. So I was working as a conventional engineer because that's what I graduated with. And as I saw her doing all this with all these people in the business I was formed a partnership with, but I said, I'm not able to see any of these clients because I don't have a medical degree, but look at all the amazing things she's doing. So this goes back to the law of attraction I was talking about when I was stuck in the library. This all connects. So I said, okay, universe, I closed my eyes, and this, as corny as this sounds, this is what I did. Universe, can you please help me somehow, in some way, to help heal people in our own Chari Center of Health that I'm managing, so I can heal people too in some way, even though I don't have any medical degree of any sort. And I just kind of said that just like that. And I let it go, and I said, okay, forget it. 2 weeks later, okay, I forgot. I didn't know that's called detaching from the outcome. I didn't know all that stuff. So 2 weeks later,
that's the secret of the secret, right?
Yeah. And I didn't even know that, So a couple of weeks later, some friends came up to me and said, Deepak, this guy's going to be speaking in Santa Monica. At that time, we lived in San Diego, California, about how your voice reflects all your unconscious beliefs, limiting beliefs, negative emotions, limiting patterns. And most importantly, how certain frequencies and harmonics of sound and high-level scalar waves can be sent to the client to quickly and easily release those emotional patterns, regardless of how long they've had them. I go, that sounds kind of cool. Okay, I'll come and attend that. So when I was there attending his presentation on the voice, all these light bulbs went on in my head like, wait a minute, this is technical. I have a technical background. This is a technology that I could maybe do this perhaps in our center. And then I suddenly thought, wait a minute, I've been bullied my whole life, right? I've been hiding away a lot of my life. Maybe I could work on myself and clear this pattern. So I went up to him and I said, I was fascinated by what you presented. I would like to perhaps do this at our center that I'm managing with my sister and maybe work on my own stuff that I never got resolved. But I would like to apprentice with you. He says, well, I'm only taking a handful of people. And I didn't realize I was in the right place at the right time because he only literally did a handful of people, and I was one of them, because after that he had health conditions and health issues, and he just decided, I can't do this anymore. He got very, very ill after that. But I was in the right place at the right time. Again, universe knows better than me. And once I got this knowledge, and he watched me in the trenches as I worked on people to clear their depression and anxiety and fears and emotional trauma and whatever it was, I cleared it. He goes, yep, I think you got it down. So then I said, well, I got this engineering degree. I hope I can do something with that. So I took that knowledge and I ended up modifying certain things he did, polishing things, streamlining it, making it more efficient. And I decided to call this new revised program of what he originally created, he created the software for it, my Life Transformation Technology Program. So that's why I created that. It's a modification of what he did, a revised, updated, and polished version, in my opinion, of it. So the first person I worked on, before I worked on a single client at our own center, was myself, to clear this bullying pattern. Because the movie The Matrix had come out in 1999 or so, and I saw these are all programs, right? I thought, what if this is a Matrix program? Like drawing these narcissistic, mean, manipulative, controlling people. So I worked on myself. I tracked it back to the ancestry, which is what I do for everyone, to where it came from, released it. The moment I started clearing the programs, I started drawing loving, nurturing, supportive people in my life, which, by the way, I had no concept of. I had no concept of what is a nice, nurturing, compassionate person or caring person or support. I didn't even know what that is. Why do I say that? For anyone who works with me, that's the cool thing. Even if you say, well, Deepak, I don't know what a loving relationship is. I don't know what a friend is. I don't know what I don't know what that is even. How can I get it? It doesn't matter. When you clear the limiting programs, you can draw that into your life even if you don't even know what it is or experienced it or loving relationship. So that's why I say that. So I started drawing all these wonderful people in my life and I go, oh my gosh, I got to help others. If this is a matrix program, which it is, then once you release it, you're liberated. You're not going to repeat the patterns of the past over and over again like all my parents and grandparents and everyone did in the past. That's true liberation. So I went through my own struggle and journey, created this program, and then ended up helping countless people in the process. So I wanted to tell you, like, I was on the other end of it too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have an axiom of the light that says, heal ourselves by healing others. And Michael and I live by that. You know, we're not here presented as these totally perfectly healed, solid beings of light. We still have very human problems like everyone else. But what's interesting, what you're talking about is this is how Michael and I talk and teach about the law of attraction. We actually defer to it as the law of resonance, because you don't attract what you want. You attract with what your field is putting out there, right? And you can wish it and you can want it and you can do whatever you want. But if you're not aligned, if you're not resonating with what you actually want, it's not going to come. You're going to get the things like we talked about. Right, Michael?
Yes.
Yeah, we did a whole episode on it.
Cool.
We did.
Because it is all about the vibration we have, right? It's like,
Mhm.
and we always just fall back to it. We can maybe jump up a little bit, but we always default that unconscious mind, right?
We always fall to our lowest level of healing. Always. And it's people have trouble accepting that phrase sometimes, because they're like, I feel fine. I don't feel sick. But then they're trapped in this cycle of suck, and they can't figure out. But what I love about what you're saying is that this adds a piece to this holistic puzzle that we're talking about, because too often we tell people, people tell us, go get therapy, go get medical help, but we ignore the energetic, we ignore the soul level, we ignore, all of those things. And if we are to be completely healed, we must address the complete person in every aspect of it, right? Mind, body, soul, and heart. We have to, or else we're only healing them in certain parts.
Yes, absolutely right.
Healing comes from alignment. Healing comes from alignment, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's like one of the other big issues, especially in this culture, is everything's defined as an illness, a condition, something we're stuck with the rest of our life. And it's like, here's some medication to fix your problem. And it's like putting a Band-Aid over a broken bone. It's like, you got to set it, you got to wrap it, you got to let it heal.
Right.
And
right.
that's the beauty of this work, is this is the kind of work that works through these issues that have bottled up throughout our lives or before it, and allows us to transcend what has been our situation for possibly our whole life.
Absolutely.
Depending on the phase there, right?
Well, and another thing that happens is we always look for this magic pill to everything. We have to work. We have to earn. Maybe earn's not the right word, but we have to also do our part in everything. We have to be participant in our healing. We have to be a participant in our jobs. We have to be a participant in all things. We have to
100%.
provide some, right? We have to provide something.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So
that's
biofeedback. I think people kind of, they hear biofeedback and they think about the little machines that you stick on you, and the old school ones.
Yes.
You and I were talking about a week ago, how when biofeedback first came out and it would interact with your computer and stuff, and it was like these little things you paste on there. We are talking about biofeedback, but we're talking about a really, really specific advanced version of this, because what's interesting about the voice, I can hide my face most of the time. Sometimes I do this. I look at people weird, but we can mask and hide a lot of things. But what I find interesting about what you said just a little while ago was that you can't hide the stress, you can't hide the anxiety, you can't hide the trauma in your voice, no matter how hard you try.
That is exactly right. You nailed it. Exactly. And by the way, that is also, following up what you said, Justin, why when people work with me, you will get a voice like you've never had in your life. The most harmonious, melodic, super powerful, super strong voice you ever had in your life. That's a side benefit. Some people come to me only for that reason, because they're top speakers, singers, authors, actors. I've had some of those kind of people come to me. I would like to tell their names, but I was licensed to sign an agreement I couldn't reveal. But trust me, you know who they are. And the thing is, they have their coaches. They have their people. But they're not able to help them, because I'm going to a core, like they might teach them a diaphragmatic technique for, try this technique and use it with the diaphragm. So I'd be working with these these people who you, I guess, would know, everyone would know. But
Right.
and then their coaches would come to me and say, wait a minute, Deepak, I've been working with this person for 15 years. I've not been able to get these results. What diaphragmatic technique? I've taught them 20 different ones. What diaphragmatic technique did you use? Is there some new one I don't know about? I go, I don't know anything about any diaphragmatic techniques. Okay, so I was like, wait a minute. So what are you doing? I said, well, it has to do with this advanced technology with the voice. And wait, I want to come and experience what you did. Their coaches said that. So their
Right,
coaches
right.
even came to me. So, I mean, because and one other person who came to me said, you should be on, what's that, America's Voice? What is that one? That,
Hmm.
yeah, you should be that. You'd be the biggest secret behind there to get those people in. I go, well, you're absolutely right, but, but it's true. Because think of it this way. I don't know if either of you have ever played a musical instrument. Like, have you ever played the piano or learned it in high school or anything like that?
I was a drummer, of course. I like to bang on things. So
I play guitar.
And guess what? I'm a drummer too.
there you go.
So I can relate to the drum. But I used to play in the orchestra in high school, and I used to be the whole percussion section, so I can relate. But I used to see all the other people the instruments played, and they would always tune everything with the piano and other stuff. So the thing is
Right.
this, the orchestra conductor, a piano basically has 12 notes. Even though there's
Hmm.
like hundreds of keys, for the person who doesn't know about these keys, don't worry about it. You don't need to know about this, but I'll just give you the crash course. So piano, there's 12 notes that repeat. So even though you see tons of keys, it's only 12 notes that repeat. So when I listen to a person's voice, okay, kind of simplifying it to a great extent, I'm listening for those notes. If someone has some emotional challenge that's holding them back, grief, anger, low self-esteem, low self-worth, depression, some trauma, overwhelm, it could be anything.
Hmm.
Different emotions, I have found over studying this, squash different notes on your keyboard.
Mm.
You have 60 trillion cells or more in your body. Every cell has a keyboard, okay? To simplify it. So when I'm listening to your voice, I'm listening to every cell in your body. Do you realize when you talk, you're talking
Mm.
with all 60 trillion cells in your body, not just your voice? So I'm
Right.
listening to your whole body's energy field. So I'm listening to that keyboard, and if I don't hear certain notes, certain emotions squash different keys on that keyboard. Grief squashes different notes. Anger squashes totally different notes.
Mm.
Overwhelm and fear squashes totally different notes. Not feeling acknowledged or heard squashes different notes. I mean, there's so many different emotions that squash different notes. So I know that in advance. So based on what's squashed, what I don't hear, the computer software technology, which creates computerized voice maps or emotional heat maps, can see what those emotions are and even where you're suppressing them in your body. So so basically I'm not hearing the whole person's voice when they're speaking. So when we release these emotional patterns, think of it like this. Imagine there's a key on the keyboard and there's an emotion like anger sitting on there or grief or something.
Hmm.
Those notes, 2 or 3 notes, are not heard by the person's voice. It doesn't matter how loud they talk. Only the other notes will be heard, but not those other notes in their voice. So what do I do to release that? I've been angry about this for 30 years, 20 years, depressed about this for
Mm.
40 years. Okay, so what I do is I reverse engineer it. I'll say, okay, I don't hear that note, so I'm going to resonate, like you said, Justin, I'm going to resonate that stuck note that's not playing, that hasn't played for 40 years or whatever years, and reverse engineer it regardless of that. And whatever was sitting on that, once the key starts playing because I get it to play, will literally be catapulted off of every cell and of the whole body, and it'll actually lift out of the person's energy field. And they'll feel it come out actually. And
Hmm.
and then that key will start to play again, that piano key that was stuck. So because when I create a harmonized environment, those unharmonizing thoughts and emotions cannot coexist in that harmonized environment by definition in this quantum physics. So they will have to leave. They'll have to vacate that hotel that they're not supposed to be
Mm.
staying in. They were not wanted guests. So literally they'll be kicked out. And how I can verify that is after I get that note to play and it kicks out that emotion, I will listen to their voice talking about the challenging situation that led them to be angry, upset, sad, depressed, whatever it is. But this time I'll hear the note in their voice that I could have never heard in 40 years before. And that's my confirmation that they've released the pattern. So I'll know in advance they probably released it. I'll say, well, how do you feel about that now? Let's say it was on a scale of 1 to 10, it was at the highest, like 10 of anger or sadness. as we do each round is like a couple minutes at a time in an hour session, it'll start dropping, dropping, dropping. Well, now it's like a 7. Maybe it's like a 4. Now it's like a 3. Then finally, very minimal. They may have had this for 20, 30 years. So then once all the notes play, they will get a voice like they've never had before. So that's the reason why you get that voice like that. And it's very dramatic. I have an example I can share with you. Would you be interested to hear that?
Yeah, but first,
Go ahead.
And I'm kind of inferring this based on what you said, but it's almost like you're saying that everybody that comes to you, they've never actually heard their own real voice before.
Exactly. Nailed it.
Are they like hearing it once you get it tuned in, are they hearing their voice for the first time? Like
I'll give them exercises after the session. You're correct. Most people be very unconscious of their own voice, right? So I'll give them exercises after they release it. I'll go on my set, because I do this for a living for 20 years. I'll be like, whoa, listen to that voice, man. Wow, they should be a singer. They may not be a singer. They might be just like working in a cubicle in an office. But guess what? We're always talking to people. And guess what? Those same people who had those emotions, nobody really hears them at all. Like they're saying they say, Deepak, I'm giving all these great ideas and nobody ever cares about me or hears about me. They ignore me. And I say, well, you know why? Because you have all these suppressed emotions and squashing the notes in your voice. So even though you're speaking, they don't really hear you. And if they don't hear you, they don't see you either. It's the most common thing I hear with people. And I'll give a follow-up example unless you want to ask me anything.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this woman who came to my office, okay? She said, Deepak, I went through so many trials and tribulations in my life and struggles and abuse and physical and emotional and everything. And I conquered it and I got through it. So I wanted to create a program for other women so they could be empowered by what I went through so they don't feel like they're the only ones going through it. I said, that's cool. She goes, yeah, but I have a challenge. I said, what's that? I gave a presentation to this group of women. I created CDs, DVDs, all this kind of stuff about what I went through. And I gave a presentation. I thought, with the PowerPoint, I thought I nailed it. Nobody cared. Nobody stood up. No one even reacted. How could this be possible? So she came to me really upset. Can you take a look at my PowerPoint, Deepak? I said, well, that's not actually what I usually do, look at PowerPoints, but okay, I'll look at your PowerPoint. Okay, I'm listening to voice, not PowerPoint. But anyway, I looked at it just, I said, okay, I'll make her happy. I'll look at the PowerPoint and said, yeah, okay, yeah, PowerPoint's fantastic. Okay, then what's going on? How come no one cared? I said, well, it's not the PowerPoint, ma'am. Then what is it? It's kind of you. I mean, it is you, not kind of you. And she said, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, when you're speaking to me about all the challenges you went through, I can barely hear your voice. And I do this for a living. If I can't hear your voice, I guarantee you your audience can't either. But there's a way out. And then I can be the way for you to get out of this. So then I explained how these are ancestral patterns. It came from your childhood, as I talked about those 4 phases. And I started clearing those imprints from her parents, her childhood, and then later on her adulthood. I cleared all those imprints and relationships. Then after I did that, I started hearing her voice resonant, beautiful, melodic. It was the opposite of that. And then I said, okay, I have an assignment for you. She said, what? I want you to go and do that exact same presentation to basically that same group of women you did before. I want you to do that. She goes, Deepak, that was the most humiliating thing I've experienced ever in my life. I've been doing this for 10 years and it's been humiliating every time. You want me to do that again? I said, yes. You are not the same person. You have a new reality. Trust me. And I want you to tell me what happens. So she went and did the exact verbatim from the PowerPoint presentation. The first time she did it, standing ovation. People standing on their feet, tears coming out of their eyes, the women in the audience, people rushing to her table where she had all DVDs and videos and stuff like that, selling them out like that. She came to me afterwards and said, Deepak, I've been doing this for like 10 years, nothing. Then after this, after you worked on me, everything, my whole life changed. I said, yes, because the shift was in you. And now everyone can hear and see you like they couldn't before. So that's why I say that. And that's why the singers and authors and actors come to me, because they lost the mojo. They have all these things happen in their life which affected their voice. So answer to your question, Justin, yes, you will get an outstanding voice. And what I do is I give them assignments like to sing certain songs or songs they like and really pay attention to all the nuances in their voice, which they probably never even thought of. And they'll start saying to me, Deepak, I noticed I have resonance in my voice. I have vibrato in my voice. I have a melody in my voice. I never thought of it before. I never noticed it before. I said, yes, I told you. Do
Right.
you see that now? Yeah. She goes, I never wanted to sing because I hate my voice. I thought other people do too, but now it sounds really good. Now I feel confident to sing and do, speak in the public. So it can literally majorly transform your life.
It's bizarre. For someone who's been doing podcasting off and on for 15 years, the biggest hurdle for me was, and this is long before we even did video, so that was a whole nother thing to challenge to overcome, was listening to your own voice. Back in
Oh
the day,
yeah.
now we can edit really fast and really easy. And back in the day, you had to listen to your voice over and over and over again. And it was just so cringy at first. It was like, man, this is horrible. This is what I sound like. Like, you actually ask yourself that question. You're like, man, do I really sound like this? Then you ask somebody who knows you, do I really sound like this? And they're like, yeah, why? And it's because it's so awkward. We hear ourselves talking. I hear myself talking right now, but to hear it played back to me, it's such a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
thought about it when you used to do it that much. Yeah, because I know you edited a ton, but it's like even I get a little cringy when I'm editing just the little bit I have to. Like, I can't imagine having to re-listen and re-listen to the whole thing.
Right, right. Yeah, and what's weird is, back in those early days, now I'm fine with my voice. It's fine. I don't mind hearing it because I've gotten used to it. Getting over the video, the first 10 videos we did that Michael made me do, those were a little cringy, but I've gotten over that too. But it's funny because you'll have, back in those days, we used to do like a whole panel and there'd be 2 or 3 or 4 of us. And I would not even go to their parts anymore. I would just go right to my parts and criticize the heck out of it and wish that I could change it and all this stuff because it just cringed me out so bad. But I thought everybody else sounded fine, but I'm used to hearing them projecting to me. I wasn't used to hearing myself projecting back to myself, which was bizarre. But anyway, so we're talking
True.
about vibration and harmonics and how powerful those are in the universe. For many billions of people on this planet right now, many of them will tell you that everything was created through sound, right?
Yes.
And
100%.
God said, right? And then stuff was there. So
Right on.
it's crazy to me how we explore so far into space, but we haven't barely even touched like 20% of our oceans. Like there could be like dinosaurs down there or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same with this healing space, especially with the technology. All the technology focuses on our thoughts and our, these different things that try to measure our temperatures or our whatever. But we don't really look into one of the most important aspects of creation, which is harmonics, sound. Like we're all natural antennas for it. We all vibrate it out, right? And I just wonder why in the whole biofeedback sphere, if you will, why sound is such kind of like the stepchild. Nobody pays a whole lot of attention to it. Is it because
Exactly.
it's hard to figure out? Is it just too difficult for them to deal with, or what?
Well, like you said, in the beginning was the spoken word or sound, right? And everything
Right.
came from that. And as you said, and I'm not a scholar in that, but as you said, right on. Because even if someone has, they said, Deepak, I have this complex, I was told I have, you know, ADD, ADHD, this. I say, okay, in my opinion, okay, and I'm not that medical professional, that's a label that you accepted or were given and you believed in that label. And I'm not here to comment on any medical stuff, but I'm just saying that these are labels. Basically, I look at it as sounds, as like you said. And I might hear a lot more in that sound than the person is saying, well, I have this issue. And I'm like, yes, but I also picked up this and this and this and grief and worry and fear and self-doubt and low self-esteem. I picked that up too. And I know you're focusing only on that and you want to clear that, but I picked up all this other stuff
Right.
too. So
Right.
from their voice. And of course, when I harmonize it with that resonance method I was talking about, I resonate all the stuff, not only the stuff they want to address that, this is my main issue. I'm like, but I'll see other stuff too. So that's the cool thing. I don't have to worry about, okay, this person has this specific emotional thing he wants to address. I'll like, I'm going to look at the whole picture, the whole person, like you said, the whole resonance of the person. Is the person in tune with their life, with who they are, what they stand for?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they saying something, but they don't believe it themselves? You see what I'm saying? I can see that
Right. Yeah.
congruence. And so when you release those limiting patterns, now they're totally in congruence. The wind is blowing behind their back instead of against them. Instead of trying to tough it out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to like push through and yeah. You'll get burned out in a hurry if you do it that way. What
Yeah.
I do is turn it around so
Yeah.
the wind's blowing behind your back. That is, the subconscious is supporting you. And so you're
Right.
just going with that. I give this example, Justin and Mike, that it's what we do, all of us tend to do unconsciously is like, you have the beautiful Lamborghini car, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's even a better car than that, but I'm just picking one. What we're doing is taking this 5-year-old child, which is our subconscious. It has the mentality of a 5-year-old, but it has unbelievable power of creating situations, events, and attracting things in our life that there's no way we could consciously do it, no matter what. We're
Mm-hmm.
putting that in the driver's seat. It can't even touch the wheel. Probably has to use the stick to touch the wheel. And we're sitting in the back seat hoping for the best, in the most luxurious car ever, in this Lamborghini. And we're going, oh my God, this is just
Yeah.
the most beautiful car in the world, but this is I can't wait to get out of this gorgeous car. What we needed to do actually is take that kid and say, look, you have to be in the seat restraint in the back seat of this Lamborghini. I am going to be the one who steers it where I want to go. But you're going to be the turbo power, infinite turbo power for this car, creating situations, events, people, and things that I could have never created on my own. You're going to power this ship forward, and I'm just going to steer it. So
Right.
what most people
Listen,
do the other way around.
I taught three of my kids how to drive. Trust me, I know what you mean.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and that's a really good analogy. Like we've brought up before, sort of like you got to let your emotions be in the back. You can't let it be in the driver's seat.
Right.
But when it comes down to it in the unconscious mind, how it's infinite potential, but you got to get it out of the front seat and in the back seat, its car seat, so that can be the infinite turbo. That's a great analogy.
It
Thank
is,
you.
yeah.
As far as
I love that.
manifesting and taking control, and like I love that.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like every system, ancient and new, talks about how we speak everything into existence. I keep coming back to this, which it blows my mind because we believe that's true, yet we don't give power to our voice.
Yeah.
Because we don't know there's something wrong with it. We don't know that there's somebody holding the strings so the notes can't play, as you said.
Exactly.
And nobody focuses on that. This is like, this conversation is the first time I'm actually realizing, like, wait a minute. I never thought about us being able to tune our voice better, because every ancient practice tells us to sit still and tune our mind, right? We ignore everything else. Sit in a good posture. Sit, be still. Let your thoughts come and go. And don't worry about your voice. Don't worry about the thing that helps create things.
Yeah. You can speak things into existence exactly as you said, But if our voice is not heard, then literally it's kind of silenced even to go forward. For example, I worked on a woman who was absolutely brilliant in business, and she worked with these other male counterparts, but it could go either way with either sex. I mean, I'm just giving an example. And
Right.
they were losing a lot of money, and they were doing a business deal where they actually lost millions of dollars. But she told them, don't do this. Instead, do this, and it'll not only will you not lose millions, you'll make millions. But they didn't hear her. Okay, so they didn't hear it all when she was speaking, telling these clear ideas. So of course they lost millions. Then they complained that they lost millions. I wish someone could have helped us with that. Well, she says, I told you what to do. She goes, we didn't hear you say anything. We didn't know what you said. Well, you should have told us that. I told you, you weren't listening. So she came to me frustrated. Deepak, I work with these men. It could be men working with women too. And they didn't listen to a word I said. I said, well, let me tell you something. I can barely hear your voice in your energy too. Yes, you are saying those words, but they're not heard. If I don't hear them, they didn't hear them either. So I cleared her limiting beliefs, in this case, in being heard by others, especially men in this case, could be the other way. And I cleared all that from her childhood, which is where it came from. And I said, okay, you're a brilliant woman. You will have other ideas. Okay, I know they lost on that one, but they're going to hear you now for any future ideas you have. So she went to those same men. She goes, okay, you guys, you didn't listen to what I said before. I have a new structure for this company, which will double or triple what you guys thought you were going to make over the years in a short period of time. This is what you need to do. And when she was speaking, unlike before, where they were not really paying attention to her, they leaned back like, whoa, like a huge, power forces talking to us. They're like, whoa, that is an incredible idea. Oh my God. You should share ideas like this more often. I mean, this idea is nailing it. So then she came to me, Deepak, I see what you mean now. I said, yeah, see, you were finally heard, right? Yeah. So this time they heard every word she said. They didn't hear anything she said in all those years that she worked with them before. And this can go with us in any area, okay? Because when you're heard, you're seen. And yes, as you said, Justin, you can speak things into existence 100%. But if the emotions are squashing that energy, even if you do try to speak into existence, it can come out distorted. The energy is going out, but it gets distorted with the emotions and it comes out convoluted. So you don't get it in the way you wanted it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
It gets distorted. So,
Yeah,
but once it's in harmony, like you said, in resonance, which is well said, then what you say, yeah, boom, boom, boom. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, again, it blows my mind how we miss this. But we're not taught, we're not taught very good things in our lives, are we?
Well, isn't it true though? Like when you're growing up or when you're going to school, like when I was, hiding from the bullies and all, but even in school, like, okay, don't speak unless you're spoken to. No, you don't have permission to speak. No, I'm the only one speaking now. You have to listen, and for, some older people I work with, like children are to be seen, children are to be spoken into, not heard. There's different programs that were given to these kids. So they internalize that in their whole life, even though they thought that was horrible what I was told, but they practice that in their whole life because it was programmed in their subconscious. Children are to be seen, not heard. So basically what I say doesn't matter. So their voice gets squashed, by the way, even if they're speaking. So when I reverse and clear all those limiting programs, then suddenly they're seen and heard all the time, like the way it was supposed to be.
Right. And I imagine they're not ashamed to be seen and heard anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. That is right. A huge burst of once I release these limiting patterns, they feel confident to speak their truth. They're not like trying to just force something out before like they used to. They're saying it like, and they're totally congruent with it. I believe what I say. I'm in total congruence with what I say. I believe it. Even though that situation may not even have manifested yet, they're totally congruent with it, which is not how they felt at all before. And their ancestors didn't either, by the way.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I know, it's just like I'm thinking of all these different healing modalities and how so much like Reiki, even personal development, shadow work, stuff like that, how it's you're working to clear it away and it always sort of comes back, and it's that constant motion of healing, overcoming, and retraining the nervous system. And I'm fascinated on how this is something that seems to sort of, they got to come to you for a couple sessions to work through it. But what makes it stick so much better than many of these other practices? That is crazy.
So the things the way I do this work is it's into another level altogether. Because for example, if I'm working on someone, I start out with the 9 baseline sessions and I work from there because we're clearing lifetime programs that they didn't come overnight. But they, because every sight, smell, taste, touch, sound, and emotion in every quadrillionth of a second is stored in your subconscious. So there's a lot of stuff in our childhood. So we can only clear it at the rate that your subconscious is willing to let it go at. So in other words, when I'm working on a client in a session, instead of just fire hosing them with every frequency that they need for sure to release all their limiting patterns, like, okay, I know you have depression, anxiety, and fears and phobias. I'm just going to fire hose you with every darn thing under the sun. They'll be like, oh, I don't do it like that because that's how a lot of people do it, but I don't do it like that. That's why it doesn't work like that. What I do is I faster than they blink their eye, I'll ask their subconscious, not their conscious mind. This is the 99%, this is what I ask. Subconscious of this person, I know that they need all of these 10, 15 frequencies, but which of them are they ready to receive from me? Not what they say. Yeah, Deepak sent them to me. I said, no, not. I don't want to ask their 1%. What are
Come
they?
on, hit me with it, man. Hit me with it.
Hit me with it. Well, okay. Then the subconscious will say faster than they blink their eye. They don't even know I'm asking their subconscious. Okay, send me that one. Nope. Yes, no. No, yes, no. Okay. Boom. There you go. Boom. I send the frequencies to them, and that's exactly what they needed in that moment. And then each round, a round is 3 minutes at 3 minutes at a time. I do an hour of these at each session. That's why it's a perfect handshake every time. Exactly what they need in that moment. And that's why I'm able to get these kinds of results. I only deliver what they need in that way. Now, some people are more frail or sensitive. So, there might be 15, 20 frequencies they need. And they'll say, okay, send me 2 or 3. Because I need to, I need to build up to it. And then as I go forward in sessions, they'll say, okay, that felt really good. Next time they come in, send me some more. And then it increases more and more and more. So that's why everyone is different. Now, this is not a one shot. They come one time and it's done. We start out with a set of 9 baseline sessions and we build from there because we want to clear the imprints they picked up from their mom, their dad, their childhood. And everyone's had key childhood events, no exception, that have, affected them in big ways, right? And then what's going on in their current life, their current relationships, past relationships, and then lastly, their grandparents, the ones who also downloaded. So that's the kind of formula I have to clear the major programs of the person. And then once we've done all the baseline work, then they can come, for maintenance, every month or 2 months, just to keep things flowing. Just the same way like you take care of your car, right? We take more care of our car than we do ourselves, right? I mean, you change your oil, you do the lube filter, and then every 6 months you do, you rotate the tires and, the transmission fluids and all that stuff, right? We don't think twice about doing that for our car, but we do a lot for ourselves. So maintenance is important. And are there different levels you can get to by working with me? Absolutely. The same way if someone who's a martial arts person, right? What is the lowest belt? Is that the yellow? I'm not sure which one it is.
White,
but
usually it's white.
Then you go up, you have the brown belt, but we know the black belt is at the top. Well, the person who's at the yellow, he's darn good. He'll kick my butt anytime.
Right.
But compared to the black belt to the yellow belt, the black belt will kick the butt of the yellow belt every time. So in other words, even though I might take you up to this place here and you're like, okay, I'm pretty good. Some people will say, well, I want to go to the black belt level.
Right.
Well, I can take them there too. So what I'm trying to say is, because you're a work of art in progress, so you're always evolving. And let's say somebody said you see what I'm saying? And if somebody is at a low level, working hourly, and they want to say, my goal, Deepak, is to be a manager. I'll release their limiting beliefs and suddenly they'll become a manager. But they didn't have the skill level before. And they say, Deepak, I want to be a supervisor of all the managers. Okay, I'll work on you there. Now you moved up here. But they couldn't just jump like that because they didn't have the skill level to go at that level. So I have to, see, now they say, I want to be vice president of this whole company. Well, okay, now you're ready for the next level. You see why you can't just go like that?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Same thing. Exactly same thing.
So for those out there who are saying, man, I really want to get into this. Walk us through, like, they hit you up and they say, they do the 15-minute consultation and they say, all right, they high five you and you guys start to work together. How does that process look? Do you send them something? Do you just walk us through that real quick so people can get a feel for what they do.
Absolutely. Great question, Justin. So in other words, let's say they say, we do the 15-minute complementary consult, which I offer everyone. There's no obligation. And then I can find out what your goals are, what you want to achieve. I customize my program for each person's unique issues, whatever they want to achieve. I'll help take you there. So once we figure out what a strategy of what they want to do in their life, then what I do is I say, okay, to work with me, all you need is a laptop with Windows. There's a free app that I will send to you. You download onto your computer. You need a headset with a swing down mic, which has to be a USB headset. I'll tell you which one to get. It's like $20. And there's a device that I, as a practitioner only, can send to you that delivers these state-of-the-art frequencies in the harmonized way that you plug. It looks shape of a hand, and you plug it with the USB into your computer also. During the sessions, you place your hand on that. Your hand is the energy center. They call it a chakra. And you place your hand on that, and I send the frequencies that the person needs, that their subconscious says it wants, into their hand, and it goes into all 60 trillion cells of your body and resonates all those keyboards I talked about earlier in today's presentation to perfect harmony. So that's what you need to work with me. And I do the sessions through Zoom, personally. So I can see their face and see how things are
So
shifting.
they don't have to be where you live. They can do it
Not
literally
at all.
from anywhere.
It's totally remote. You can do the whole sessions from the comfort of your home, or even if you're traveling, wherever you are. That's the cool thing.
Hmm.
You don't have to travel in
Right.
traffic and all of that to come to my place. You can do it from anywhere. I've worked on people all over the U.S. and world in many countries. So from the comfort of your home, we can clear whatever it is that's holding you back in your life very quickly and easily. Each session's an hour. Now, when I do the first session's an hour and a half, because the first half hour of the first session, I will actually take you into an altered state and map out your conscious mind voice map. It's called a computerized voice map, subconscious mind voice map, and then a voice map of your parents and a voice map of your relationships and of your grandparents. This is called like a family ancestral imprint tree. I'll have a computerized form of all that. I'll show the client that, and it'll explain to them why things happen in their life the way they did, and what imprints and patterns even I'll quantify of those emotional patterns that they picked up from their mom, their dad, and even their grandparents that led them to how they think themselves. And so I'll show the whole thing, and even why they drew the relationships in their life, because I'll even show how the relationships were actually related to different parents and grandparents because they were similar to what they knew. They would, and they go, "Oh my God, you're right. That person was just like my grandfather, or my father, and it might be a combination of different people." So once I explain all that to them, I say, "Okay, now that you understand that, now in the same first session, let's start working with either mom or dad. You pick which one you want clear. We got to work on both of them, and then we start the clearing process." Generally speaking, I started with a baseline of 9 initial sessions because it takes about 2 sessions in general to clear each parent. But of course, if there was abuse and other stuff, and unfortunately with some people, a lot of people that I've experienced, they had that too. It might take more than the baseline 2 sessions to clear that imprint. But I'll know from their voice that they've cleared that parent, and they'll feel it within themselves too. And then once they've done that, then we go to childhood events, the key childhood events, which we've all had, like I was bullied, right? And I had other things like that too. You clear those key ones that were a huge impact in your life. Once we've done that, now we go to the current time. What's going on in your life currently that's really challenging you, stressing you out, upsetting you? Maybe some trauma happened, or maybe something from your past that was upsetting. We clear all that stuff. Then we clear the current relationship you're in or just were in, and the past relationships. Because if we don't clear those relationships things, that even though you say, "Well, Deepak, I'm done with the relationship," I say, "Well, you're done. You think you're done, but your subconscious is not." So we got to
Right.
clear, because they'll say, "Yeah, I'm over it. This person that I broke up with," and the meter will just go boom to the right, that intense emotion. And I'll say, "Okay, now you see why we have to do that." So then we clear the emotions of the current relationships and the past ones, so that you can draw the ideal relationship if you don't have one yet. Or if you are in one, you leave and improve that one. And then from there, we go to the grandparents. And we don't have to do all the grandparents, just the ones that I measured that had the highest emotional charge. And so that's the structure of how we clear it. So when someone works with me, that's the process we do. But it's all done remotely, all from the comfort of their home. Very, very smooth and simple there.
And just reiterate this in case someone missed this. You don't actually
Absolutely.
have to have their mom and dad and grandpa and grandma there to take these readings. You can get these readings from them.
No, oh yeah, thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Justin, for answering that. I didn't. Thank you for clarifying that. Absolutely not. No, this is a self journey. So yeah, no, not at all, not at all. So what happens is when I'm doing the session, with this technology, it takes them into a deeper state of consciousness, so I can access their subconscious mind. No, none of those people need to be around. In fact, even if they all had transitioned, it works the same. So basically, once they're in the altered state, I get a voice map. That means I have them talk about themselves first, and to get their conscious mind voice map, who they are personally. Then I take them to a deeper state and say, get their subconscious mind to know what their true self is of their own belief system, limiting beliefs. Then I say, "Okay, tell me about your dad. What was he like when you were growing up as a kid? How was he with you?" And they only have to talk for like 15 seconds, and I create a computerized voice map of their dad. See, that's what I meant. Then say, "Tell me, what was your mom like when you were growing up as a kid?" "Well, she was kind of mean and controlling and manipulative." And okay, for 20 seconds, okay. And it'll show the emotional charge when they're talking about that. Now, the interesting thing is, they might talk in a normal voice like I'm talking to you now, but the meter might be going to extreme on certain cases and like high on certain cases, and no one else
Hmm.
would even know that except for me. And
Right.
then we go, and after then we do the relationships I mentioned, right? The current and past relationships they've had, because if they had any emotional baggage, you got to clear that. But then when we get this interesting thing is, Justin and Mike, when we get to the grandparents, a lot of people say to me, "Well, Deepak, my grandparents died before I was born, so we can just skip that whole grandparent thing." I was like, "Oh no, you don't know. Remember those four phases I told you about? No,
Yeah.
no, you cannot skip that. In fact, they may have more of an impact, even though they passed on, than your own parents did. And a lot of times that's the case." So he said, "But Deepak, I don't know these grandparents. How can I record them?" Right? The great question, Justin. So I'll say,
Right.
okay, did you ever see a picture of your father's father? Oh yeah, yeah. I kind of remember, yeah. Okay, so in this altered state, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to describe what he looked like in that picture that you remember. So they describe that. Now you might say, well, Deepak, what if I don't have a picture of him? What if my parents never talked about the grandparents? And bizarrely, some parents did not even mention the grandparents to the kids, which
Hmm.
was unusual, but it's true. Now what do I do? Okay, know that you had guaranteed had a grandparent, and they definitely influenced you. So close your eyes, see your father in front of you, and imagine there's like a silhouette of a person. You can't see their face or anything, but imagine, just say that's your grandfather, father's father. No, he's definitely there. Put your attention on him and just say, I don't, and say this, I don't know anything about my father's father. I want you to repeat that. And they'll repeat this for like 10 or 15 seconds. They'll be looking at me like, Deepak, what are you doing? And like I say, just, I know this, just go with me. I don't know anything about my father's father. I don't know anything about my father's father. They keep repeating it. And it sounds like to average listener, like it's like a monotone, but it'll show like strong emotions like anger or rage or sadness or it's just unbelievable. It's amazing what it shows. Then we do the other grandparent. They didn't know any of them, let's say. Mother's mother, right? I don't know anything about my mother's mother. I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about them. They just see their mom and see a silhouette in front of it, and they focus on the silhouette who's their mother's mother. And it'll show, if the one showed anger, the other one might show deep sadness.
Mm.
And they have a monotone voice. I don't know anything about my mother's mother. I don't. Now, how the heck could it capture that? You know why? Because everything's in the energy field. It has nothing to do with the person themselves. All,
Hmm.
all the all of the energies in the energy field, the parents, grandparents, all that. So you're accessing when through your voice, that's how powerful it is, information from the field, the quantum field, from their voice when they talk about the person. That's why I tell them to focus on the silhouette, even though they don't know, that's my mother's mother, but I don't even know what she looks like. And it's every
Right.
time it captures the energy of that person. Isn't that cool?
That's
It's beyond
crazy.
cool. It's beyond
That's
cool.
crazy, right? It's crazy. But every single time, I mean, they might say, I don't know anything about this person, I don't know anything. And it sounds like the average person, Deepak, it's going to look the same because their voice is monotone. I said, no, it's not. It's going to look completely different. And they look completely different. And then I might even find out, like, did you know that, you said we shouldn't do the grandparents, right? Did you know there was like a 90% download imprint from your father's father who you didn't even know, which is affecting your life today because he had all this trauma in his life from the war, and that downloaded to you. And your father, you only got like 60% of his imprint of how he believes the world is or how he believed the life is. But you got most of it from your grandfather. That's why your life was like that.
Mm.
It was interesting. My mentor, who I learned this from, said he worked on a man, okay, who would always take money and hide it in the mattress all the time. And his wife was saying, "What are you doing? Like, this is weird. This is crazy." But he did it and he didn't even know why he's doing it. Well, when he worked on him, my mentor, who I learned this technology from originally, he found out that his father or his grandfather was in the Depression. And that's exactly what he did. He would hide money everywhere because, whatever, he didn't want anyone to come and steal it. So that
Right.
imprint downloaded to him a couple of generations later, and he did the same thing. So when he cleared that imprint from him, he completely stopped that pattern. And he goes like, "Oh, what am I doing? Chef, no, this is crazy. I'm not going to do that anymore." So So if we don't clear these patterns, I mean, there's a tendency in high probability we're going to repeat the patterns of the past, even though we say, no, I'm never going to do that, Deepak. I'll never do that.
Well, not just
And I'll
repeat
tell
them,
them,
but pass them on, apparently. Pass them on to others.
correct. You will also pass them on.
Right.
Those four phases I talked about.
Yeah. That's wild. Michael, that's wild.
Well, and it makes me wonder, it's like if you were to go through the process and remove these blocks, would then that avoid your children picking up on it, if I'm following you correct?
Yeah, that's right. 100%. You nailed it. Absolutely. That is true. Because remember, the parents are downloading to the kids in real time. So if, and I was talking about 0 to 13. So as I'm clearing them in real time, the program, even if it was a negative program before they were getting from the parents, depression, anxiety, fears, emotional trauma, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know how to deal with stuff, and I clear it, the kid picks up the shift that the parent had, and it rewires the kid automatically because they're still in an imprintable age. But let me tell you an interesting story, though. You might think, well, what if my kids are older than 13? So I had somebody who asked me that, like, what if my kids are in their 20s? Could it still help them if you work on me? So here's a case. I said, well, I know 0 to 13 is the imprintable age. This is what I've studied. But this is interesting. I worked on a lady who was a famous author, and everyone loved her. But her kids, who were in their 20s at that time, treated her like horrible. They ignored her, didn't do anything for her. They lived at home also with her, but they didn't do anything to help her in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So she was really upset. She said, Deepak, my kids are so disrespectful to me. I have all these fans, but not my own kids. They treat me like crap. I mean, this is horrible. So I said, well, let's see. Maybe you're projecting something unconsciously from your childhood. So I cleared all these imprints from her life, parents, grandparents, childhood, all that stuff. Then this moment I started clearing all this stuff, that son came up to her and said, one day, Mom, I've been acting like a jerk with you. You asked me to do stuff, clean the garage, put out the garbage, do these things. I was acting like such a jerk, so mean. A lot of people don't even have a mom, or even if they have a mom, they're not nice like you are. I was taking you for granted. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm going to clean up my room. I'm going to take out the trash all the time. I'm going to organize the whole garage for you. You know what? I'm just going to take care of that. You don't have to even ask me. I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to mow the yard. I'll pick up the leaves. You deserve it, Mom. I'm so sorry. I was acting like a jerk with you. She's like, who's this kid? Then the daughter, who didn't know the son said all this on another day, said, Mom, I've been acting like a real jerk with you. I mean, I should be so lucky to have a wonderful, inspiring mom like you. You actually inspire me. I'm so sorry I've been so ungrateful to you. I've been acting so mean. Please, can you please forgive me? I'm so sorry. I promise to help you out and help you in any way. Can you please forgive me, Mom? She's like, what? She said some other words I can't share right here, but trust me, she was pretty surprised. So
She woke up in the
I
twilight
can
zone.
believe it.
yeah, exactly. So then I saw, wait a minute, I knew 0 to 13, if I work on the parents, the kids immediately will shift. But here, look at this, right in front. I mean, this happened right in front of my. But then another thing is, I worked on people who are much older than even that lady, who had kids in their 40s and 50s, and even they started shifting to a certain extent, even though they're kind of became on a certain course. Even they kind of shifted in how they acted towards their parents before. They were kind of rough and mean, and they were kind of much nicer and smoother than before. So I was like, whoa, so it's still working forward then, So I just wanted to share that with you, that yes, carrying on your great question, Mike, it even went beyond that age, I found, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are there any, so we've been walked through a session. We kind of know what to expect. Kind of after we find a good baseline for somebody, are there complementary practices you encourage them to do, like meditation or something? Is there anything that you tell them to do that kind of aids in that process?
Yeah. So the cool thing is, when I do these sessions with people, I pretty much take care of the main issues at hand. So what I do, though, is what I found, you're right, I found to take it to another level. Like you're getting an A at school, if you want extra credit, you want an A+. What I tell them to do is and I tell everyone, I have everyone do this, get a journal, call it your daily experience journal, and start with, when the first day of the first session, put today's date. But I tell them, I want you to write in ink. And in studies I have found, for some unusual reason, if it's in blue ink, it's even more effective. And then also, if they write in the journal in cursive, that actually aligns the left and right brain hemisphere into one single brain. Because when we're brought up as kids, we're the brain left and right hemisphere, he's a left brain person, she's a right brain person, creates that separation. But we are not like that. So it creates a
Right.
unified brain when you write in cursive. In fact, kids nowadays, I found, don't even know what cursive is when I ask them, which is
They don't
bizarre.
teach them
They don't
anymore.
teach it.
They don't teach
Well,
them anymore.
why?
We
I
had to
wonder
teach.
why,
We had to teach our
I
younger
wonder
two
why.
how to do it.
Yeah, I wonder why, right? Because
We could
the
go down a
interesting,
rabbit hole with that. But
I know.
well,
I'm like, I'm gonna not say a
there
word.
there
I
is
got my
something to what you
theories.
said, Justin. There is something to what you said. But get
yeah,
That's
this,
fascinating.
follow me on this one. So when I asked some people to say, well, can't I just type it on my phone, Deepak? I said, no. If you want to record it on your phone, I want you to write it. That's just a precursor, but you've got to write it in cursive. Deepak, no. I said, yes. Even adults say that. So I said, just bear with me, okay? You want results? This is how you're going to get them. So they write their journal, all the amazing shifts they notice after I work with them each week, okay? And then I follow up with them. Okay, what did you write in your journal? So I hold them accountable. Now, the first time some of these adults were writing their, because they're used to printing, right, or typing on their phone, their journal in cursive, it took them like, they wrote only a few lines and it took up the whole page. And it was like, it looked like a fourth grader wrote it, actually,
right.
to be honest with you. So they said, Deepak, it's taking me forever to write this. And look how many pages it took. I said, yeah, just hang with me. Just stick with the plan. So they did it week after week. The second week, it took half the space, what used to take a whole page to write. The third week, it dropped to half of that. And it was kind of sloppy too in the process, but it got more refined. By the fourth week or so, it looked very neat and it was on the line itself.
Mm.
So what does that mean? That means the hemispheres are unified into one brain. They're thinking as one brain. They're getting everything structured in their life. It actually shifts everything that we're doing in the sessions to another quantum level. It's the things that you don't notice that make the
That's
biggest difference,
crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
It's
And so that's one thing I do. And then the second thing I also have them do is I'll tell them to pick a song that they really like, that really inspires them, and find the lyrics to that song, okay? And then I said, I want you to sing that song to yourself. I go, I don't, Deepak, my voice is horrible. I don't want to. I said, yes, well, if you want to know that you want to get extra credit from me, that's what you got to do. I'm going to hold you accountable. So they find the song, they find the lyrics to the song, and they said, I want you to sing to yourself, not to anyone else in the family. Just go privately into your car or room and sing it to yourself. And I want you to write in your journal, what did you notice in your voice? The tonalities, the pitch. Yeah, there you go. The tonalities, the pitch, the meter, just what did you notice? So they start doing that. And when they pay attention to their voice, now you're going inward and it goes to a whole nother quantum level. And that I found when you do those steps I described, it takes it to a whole nother quantum. The shifts happen even faster. And the other thing is when you write it in your journal, the shifts you're noticing, it imprints it in your subconscious because some people think, oh yeah, Deepak, I remember what you covered in session 1. I said, well, what did I cover in session 1? It was really awesome. I didn't write it down. That used to happen. So I don't let that happen anymore. So now I'll have them write everything down and I'll say, see, you thought you remember, you didn't. Because you won't remember it. So when you write it down and then when you review what you wrote down, like even a few weeks later in sessions with me, you'll go, oh my God, that happened? This happened and I released this and this? Oh my God. And when you realize that, when you see that in the paper, it goes, it expands your subconscious to a whole nother quantum level. This is what I found. So in answer to your question, yes, if they do those steps, it takes it to a whole nother quantum level. I mean, I even had a guy who's supposedly had this perfect memory. And even he said, I'm not going to do this, Deepak. And I said, okay, you're making a big mistake. And he was, because he couldn't remember all the shifts from every session. He could remember everybody else's name and stuff, but he couldn't remember because it's deep in the subconscious. See what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and I imagine like the ego, it fights to protect itself in some way or the other, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The subconscious, we think wants to make us successful, but it actually wants to keep us safe, what it thinks is safe, even if that's a self-sabotage pattern keeping us in unfortunate situations. So when we start getting excited and started going up and up, it says, okay, put the air conditioner on. It's getting too hot. And then when we start getting too cold, okay, put the heater on. So it keeps us in a box, thinking it's keeping us safe.
Right, right.
So what I do is
familiar is safe.
So what's that?
Familiar is safe. You know?
Familiar is safe. Yes. Familiar is safe.
Even if it's bad stuff. And for most of us,
Even if it's bad stuff. Even if it's a horrible relationships, even if it's a horrible kinds of people or events or situations, even though you think, well, Deepak, why would my subconscious want that? Well, it thinks it's keeping you safe. It doesn't know any different. So that's why when I work on a person, I listen for that, and I just like raise this bar to a point where it thinks, oh yeah, yeah, that's how it normally was. Yeah, yeah. I educate it to think that way till it finally expands to a whole nother level.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
yeah.
This is amazing work.
Thank you.
And you know, I'll ask you this, and you may not know the answer to it. But a lot of these, I don't know, I have a better word for them, so I call them like these spiritual technologies, these things that help us kind of tap into that side of things. I don't know if there's a real word for that or not, but many of those have some sort of bridge to the esoteric, some kind of ancient thing. Is there anything you could think of from then that would bridge to this kind of technology now? Maybe
Well,
like,
this technology is actually taking the collection of everything from the past and
mhm,
and basically into the current time, all that
right,
knowledge from the past into the current time, because it's based on harmonics and sound
hmm,
and, just like the pyramids, like everything has a certain structure to it and frequencies and Fibonacci. It
right,
incorporates all of that into one. And the voice is how everything is put together. And when the voice and harmonics are in resonance, basically all of those things, like you said, are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, emotionally in balance. So the voice is a reflection of that. So what I'm doing is actually all the stuff the ancient people talked about adapted to our modern day today. So you can, basically I take a person to like a Zen-like meditative state in a very short period of time that even in 20, 30 years, they never could achieve that. They might get up to here, but I
right.
take them down to
Right.
here, and that's where the master control room of the subconscious is. But it's like a very eloquent elevator I take them in, and they don't even know. A person could come off the street, they don't even know what the heck meditation is or anything, and I'll
Right.
still get the same results with the person who's a Zen master or who's meditated for 40 years. And I've worked with people like that too. And the funny thing
Mm.
is that when I work with people who have done meditation for 40 years, they say, Deepak, I've been meditating for 40 years, so like you can probably take me to the next level, so I don't need to go through the baseline that you take everyone through. I said, oh, I have to explain something to you, sir. Everybody starts out the same with me. There's no, it doesn't matter how many
That's
years of
crazy,
experience.
man.
Yeah.
You're you you're paying me to help me through this. You know what I mean? Let me help you through this. That just seems crazy to me. That'd be like if you go get your tires put on your car and you're like, hey, we'll just skip the whole putting new tires on thing. Let's just clean them up, you know? Just let them do their job. That seems crazy to
Well,
Yep.
me.
I know some people say this to me, so I have to say, okay, time out.
Crazy.
Before we go further, this is the way it's going to be, okay? Because you have to just let me take it from here. And then what happens is the funny part is, they meditate for 40 years, so they think they have a step ahead of everyone. Well, I found out that they may have even more rage or anger than the regular person who doesn't even know anything about meditation. And they
They're
might
just
have
better
only
at
gone to this
suppressing it, huh?
level of, was that? Yeah, they may
Yeah,
have
they're
only
just
gone
better
to
at
this level
suppressing
of
it.
meditation, even with all those 40 years. And if you do the same
Hmm.
thing always did, in expecting a different result, but I
That's
take them
right.
down to here where the actual issue is down in the master control room down here, you
Hmm.
see. So then I say, then they, when they work with me, they go, oh, I see what you're saying now, Deepak. Okay, so so that's the thing, like you practice something, but if you practice only going this far, that's great, but you didn't go to the level you really need to get to. And this is a very eloquent process that I can take anyone there. It doesn't matter what experience they had or what knowledge they have, in a very short period of time. So it's taking all the stuff from the ancient times and answer your question and applying it in a very straightforward but eloquent but super powerful way at the same time that can totally change your life.
I know as you described that, I pictured sort of like an iceberg, and I always look at healing like this, especially for those who are not aware or there yet, where it's just like they're looking at the tip that's above the water, and it's like, I see what I got to work through. And lo and behold, underneath the water is just this mountain.
That is
Basically,
a fan that Mike, you just nailed it. That is a fantastic example analogy of what the conscious mind and subconscious mind is. Right on. The iceberg part above the water is the conscious mind, like you brilliantly said. And that huge iceberg that no one sees, that we don't see ourselves or know is there, is the subconscious. but it's huge. It's running our whole life, whether you realize it or not.
And then you end
Most
up running
people
a
are,
ship into it, huh?
yeah, yeah. Most people have 1,000-mile-an-hour wind, the subconscious going the opposite direction, and they're trying to tough through it. And I go, why
Hmm.
don't we just take that wind and put it behind you? You know,
Right.
then you don't have any effort. You don't have to struggle to push through it. You'll just be pushed right where you want to, effortlessly.
Right. So we've been talking about this amazing technology, and I would love to know all your secrets, but I don't want you to give them out over the air, right? So, Michael, did you have any more questions for Deepak?
No, you got my curiosity. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be reaching out to you as well.
Cool.
So
Awesome. Awesome. I love to work with both of you, absolutely. And all of you, everyone listening too. Because my goal on a big scale, okay, I don't tell this to everyone, but is to change. When I help change someone's life, I'm not only changing their life, but I'm changing all the lives of the people they're with. So it's
Hmm.
literally, in my opinion, changing history or changing the future of what it would have been to what it can be now. Because every person interacts with tons of people all the time without you realizing it. But if you had a shift within you, your energy with each of those people is completely different. So the reality is also different with all those people compared to how it would have been. So it's changing the future course of everything. That's my big mission on a big scale.
As above, so below, right? And how
Beautifully
that
said, right on.
relates to
That's
us.
exactly right.
What's inside resonates out. That's why we try to build as solid as a foundation as we can in our hearts, in our, on the inside. Because whether we like it or not, whether we know we have influence or not, every single one of us has influence over others.
Yes,
Just
very
many of
important
us don't
point.
want to have the responsibility of it. That's the tough part.
I know we were just talking about in the last episode how it's just ripple effects. How every
Yep.
action we have ripples out to other people. You never know who you're going to impact, but every action, every choice, everything we do has a ripple effect.
But
It
people get hung up in the morality of it. So it's like, don't worry about morality, just take responsibility, and it'll change the perspective of how you act and how that's going to resonate out to others.
That's exactly right.
But it's been a great conversation. I really, really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
So let the people know where they can hook up with you, where they can find you on the great interwebs.
Absolutely. Thank you. So if someone wants to find out more about my work, or most importantly, do a no obligation 15-minute complimentary session with me, all they have to do is go to the website, www.fast, anxiety, ANXIETY, help, HELP.com. fastanxietyhelp.com. And once they go to that website, they can learn a little bit more about what I do. They can click on the testimonials tab, because there's wonderful testimonials from people from every walk of life. And you can see you can see who you connect with there. And then most importantly, you can sign up for a complimentary 15-minute consult with me as well by Zoom. Or if you want to do it by phone, you can do that as well. Just let me know. And then we can take it from there. I'm going to list in our consult, from the comfort of your own home, we can find out like what's going on in your life, what challenges you're going through, and what you'd like to have or be, or what would you like to achieve, and I'll help take you there.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
There's tons of testimonials there, tons of them. Like your finger will get tired running the wheel trying to get to the bottom of it. There's tons. And all kinds of different people, it looks like, and from all different walks of life, like you said. So
Yes.
But we're all human at some level, right? We're all at least human. That's where we all
the key
struggle
thing.
with this stuff.
That's the key
Right?
thing.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. None of the other stuff matters. We all struggle with this, and we all have grandmas. We all have moms and dads, whether we know them or not, or like them or not.
Exactly.
Right? Because if not, we
Justin
wouldn't be.
might be a robot.
I could be. I might be a synth.
You're a
That one
compassionate
was
sim then.
Fallout fans out there. What's that?
You're a very compassionate sim then.
I love people. I love.
You're an amazing
Yeah.
person.
Well, thank you so much. You hear that, Michael? Yeah.
You were very well programmed.
Michael will tell me that I'm too stoic for my own good sometimes, but Yeah. I don't hear what he's saying, so he needs to go through a session with you. I don't hear him.
I might start getting a lip on me, though. That might be dangerous.
That's okay. That's okay. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. All the links related to Deepak's work will be in the show notes, show summary. What do we call it, Michael? The show
notes.
The show stuff. It'll be down there where all the other links and stuff are. Yeah, Mr. Deepak, thank you so much, sir. I really had a good time.
My pleasure.
This is
Thank
great.
you for having me.
We'll be in touch, and I hope I wish you great success this year. I have no doubt that you will find it because what you offer we really need. We don't
Thank
get
you
it. We
so
don't
much.
can't get anywhere else. So, Mike, thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate your help today.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. You're awesome too.
Well, thank you guys. With love and gratitude, ad lucem.
Ad lucem.